All right, guys, I hope you are with us. I believe that you are. I'm hoping that technology didn't fail us at all. And I'm so excited that you're joining us live this evening. I want to welcome you to this live. This one is a bit different than when we did lunchtime with Dr. Nadine. So whether you join us on Facebook or you will later catch us on YouTube, thank you for being here. This evening is special because we are officially celebrating the launch of a resource that I believe is going to help many women make healthier decisions, become wiser and even more intentional as they move forward. The title of the resource that we're going to be talking about this evening is Before You Say Yes Again. And I have the privilege of being joined by the creator of that resource, Montoya Moore. So, Montoya is a sexual advocate who's passionate about helping women choose differently. Her work is centered on helping women understand their value, establish healthy boundaries, and make decisions that align with who they are becoming. Montoya, I just brought you on. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so I'm so excited that you are here. I'm praying that we are live. I have not checked social media yet to see what's going on because I actually put my phone off, so I can't even check to see if we are live. But I'm really excited to have you here. I'm just literally going to go online just to make sure that we actually live. It says we're live, but we want to make sure that our audiences are able to join us. I'm not sure if you were able to check if we were, but we are here and we're excited. So let's get the conversation started. But before we get started, everyone, if you're watching, do me a favor, tell us where you're joining from and tag a woman who needs to hear this conversation because tonight is not about shame. Tonight is not about judgment. Tonight is about awareness, healing, growth, and learning how to choose differently. So we're going to jump in. Montoya, are you ready for the conversation?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm nervous, but I'm very excited.
So talk to us, Montoya. Where did the title Before You Say Yes Again come from? Talk to us about that.
Well, as you know, I've been in your speaker mentorship program for going on 2 years now, and we were tossing around ideas, and I wanted to call it the pause,
Oh,
but the Holy Spirit saw it differently and gave you the vision to call it Before You Say Yes Again, because I was contemplating remarrying. So thank
all right.
you. Um, I agreed to use that as a title because it was very fitting.
And very catchy. So we're live. I confirmed. I just went on my Facebook and I was able to see that we are live. And so, if you share it with anybody, we just want to just let you know if you're coming in. Let us know where you're joining us from. We're really excited to have you here. We started the discussion on that whole title Before You Say Yes Again. And so, for you, Montoya, you wanted to do something about the pause.
Yes.
And we got to this point of, I mean, after quite a few weeks of discussing, changing and shifting, getting to this idea of before you say yes again. And the
Yes.
goal is to help women. What is the goal of the before you say yes? Maybe I'm jumping ahead of myself here, but what is the goal of before you say yes? Like, what can somebody take away just from that main title alone?
Well, many people would say that women are taught to how to be good women, but not discerning women. And we say yes a lot of times before contemplating how it will affect us in the long run.
Mm, okay. All right. So you're saying that most times as women, and we're going to get maybe to that a little later as well, but just from the onset, you're saying that so many times we say yes. And do you think that our first reaction or initial reaction to probably say yes, maybe cultural or religious influenced or something like that?
Yes, we want to seem available. We attach it to having a desire to be needed. So we say yes a lot of times to things and overwhelm ourselves.
And are you saying also that maybe we're saying yes to things that maybe if we thought through it, we were not going to say yes at all?
Right. Our brain is telling us no, but our hearts and a desire for wanting cause us to say yes.
And what do you think is driving that? Is it maybe a desire for a sense of belonging, a desire to be loved? Or what is probably driving us as women to say yes to things that if we spend time thinking it through, we're probably not going to say yes to it? Or what do you think is driving that?
It's a fear of rejection.
Hmm.
You don't always be agreeable. We feel like we're going to be left alone or become an old maid, as some people have that fear. So yes, we say yes to things that we should not say yes to. Well,
So can you share with us and with the viewers, what was the moment that made you realize that women really need this conversation? Was there a defining moment for you that said, you know what, this is something that I believe, and maybe you can take us into your own story, your backstory, like what made you realize that this is an essential conversation?
if you would have met me years ago, you would have seen a woman who loved God, but often struggled to live aligned with what I believed. My story includes 4 divorces,
Mm,
a choice of pro-choice
mm-hmm,
because of a a poor choice, a choice of pro-choice because of a bad choice, and losing trust in a spouse because of a pretty detrimental situation. Um, it caused me to no longer be married and found myself still having my desires and not having um, control of my flesh or not being taught to how to navigate them instead of just suppressing them. So I went looking for help
mm-hmm,
and did not find it.
mm-hmm,
And so I battled with it by myself,
mm-hmm.
um, fell into some uncomfortable situations. And I found myself asking God, why? Why do I keep falling into these same patterns? So um, when I was at church one day and you came to speak and I saw your presence and I said, I know I can learn something from Dr. Collins. And I wanted to come up under your tutelage, well, build my story. So
Yeah,
over the last 2 years,
yeah. So we're talking here now. We want to be as direct as possible and of course as conscious as possible of your story, but we want to kind of make it really clear what we're talking about. I introduced you as a sexual wellness advocate,
yes,
and so for our women who are listening, we're very clear, I believe, on what you shared, having been through, as you said, you had 4 divorces, what you also deemed to be a poor decision, and then having to deal with the reality of, hey, I might have these 4 divorces, but I'm not dead. There are still desires that I have. We're talking about sexual desires that we have. And I believe you because I asked you the question about, maybe your own story. And the moment you realize women needed this conversation. And from our work together, one of the things we realize is this is almost still a taboo topic
yes,
within the church.
yes,
It's something that many struggle with. However, many are afraid to admit or to address it. And so I believe this is a needed conversation really needed conversation because it's not a Montoya issue.
Right.
I think. I believe that there are many women in our age group, many women who may have been married, who are probably divorced, maybe separated, probably widowed, in all different types, we can classify women. But I believe that this could be or is a common issue or struggle. But so many times we push it under the table because we do not want to address the fact that women have sexual needs. Is this something that actually, like you actually addressing in this before you say yes, or something that's conscious in your mind as you prepare to continue to make impact in this area?
Yes, I've had a lot of conversations with women in my age group, above my age group, below my age group, and we have some of the same concerns, and we are felt ashamed for our feelings, and so we kind of hold it in and deal with it ourselves. But I have found that sharing it with other women and feeling like I'm in a community where I'm not
Yes.
alone.
Mm-hmm.
I've I've been able to have small victories.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
being held accountable for what I said I want to do with my life.
Awesome. I just want to take this moment to just applaud you for just going head on in working with me these past 2 years. We've been working behind the scenes. We worked on building your speaking platform, and now we're working to build other assets, which is the reason why we're actually even on this live. I want to applaud you on doing something that so many are afraid to touch on publicly. We act as if it's not a need, and as we when we work together, sometimes I learn stuff about women. I learned stuff from you, and the fact that from my personal experience, I say to people all the time, and I remember having a discussion with a bunch of friends, one male in the midst, one of my friends' husbands, they married for over 30 years. And, we were speaking, and then most of the people at the table, with the exception of that couple, were actually divorced. And there was, I think, only one person who was single, never married. And on that table, it was like, just sharing, hey, do you know that women have sexual needs too? They have desires too, And so these women were afraid and ashamed to speak the truth. Eventually, everyone stood up. It's true, it's true, it's true. And so this situation we're so scared of just talking about the sexual needs of women is so important. And your work is not just about, sexual wellness, but the fact that before you make your choice, I want you to think a little more, and I really like that. So, and one of the things I really love about your message is that it's bigger than relationships. As you mentioned earlier, women say yes to things all the time that are not healthy for them. And
Yes.
so, why do you think, and I know you said you gave us some reasons, but why do you think so many women continue to say yes when something inside them is telling them no?
Just the feeling of being alone
Mm.
and rejected. Like it's 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 the struggle is never simply sex. It
Hmm.
was often a search for validation, connection, comfort, and security.
Hmm. Can you from your own personal experience maybe help us understand a little more about, for example, why you said yes 4 times, right? Like, what was that like for you? What was that journey like for you?
Well, growing up in an Adventist home, we're taught, we don't cohabitate. So, therefore, because I did not have control of my sexual urges, I married. And for the wrong reasons. Like I substituted companionship for what the man wanted, which was sex. And
Hmm.
that led me down the road of an unhappy marriage, and that fell apart. And then it just put me back in the same cycle. From the age of 15, I've always been with a man, and I'm 50, I'll be 51 in August. Um,
Hmm.
there's only been one time in my life that I took a break from dating, and it was a 2 year, I call it my hiatus. And other than that, there's always been a man in my life because I traded companionship for what they wanted.
That's really deep. That's some deep stuff right there. Trade companionship. So your desire was companionship, but then the man's desire was for sexual relationship
Yes.
or sexual activity. And
Yes.
and so um I guess you're saying we continue to say yes sometimes, even though something is telling us no, because the desire for companionship overrides our what thought process.
Yes.
What's happening in the mind?
Our faith. Um, in my situation, I kept asking God, why can I not get victory? And he simply told me, because you're selfish.
Mercy.
I desired my desire more than I desired him.
My God, that's deep stuff. This
Yes.
is deep.
And I
This
had
is
to say to myself, okay, this God is on to something. So let me deepen my relationship with him to lessen self, because I don't blame Satan anymore. I don't
Mhm.
blame Satan anymore.
That's deep.
I blame self.
Yeah,
Like a lot of people have heard me say, it's not the enemy, it's the inner me. Because
that's right.
somewhere deep down inside, I wanted it.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
God.
Because you don't do things that you don't want to do.
Mm. The Bible
I
speaks
can't
to
blame
that,
him
right?
either.
It
Yeah.
does say every man is drawn away by his own lust. It's
Yes.
the thing that is appealing to me that's my problem. So
Yes.
if sex is not a problem for me, it's not a problem. But there are individuals that it's a problem for. There's other things like, whatever. Each person, he said, everyone drawn away by the thing that they desire. This is really deep. Again, applaud you for just that kind of transparency. It's not the devil, it's the enemy. It's not because we're drawn away by what we desire. Because you made a very powerful statement earlier on. You said that I don't remember the exact wording of it, but to the point, I could not control my desires, so I got married.
Yes.
Now, it's strong for me based on even my own background to growing up to say I cannot control. So, what do you mean by can't control? It's a situation where the desires are so strong that you feel you have no control, or the desires are so strong that you want to fulfill them.
The desire to be with someone, to have connection with someone. If I'm gonna be honest, the closest I've ever felt to a man is when he was inside of me.
My
That's how I felt
God.
closeness.
Mm,
So
wow.
when I know, like, he didn't even have to request it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to feel close.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I use to feel close.
Right, right, right,
Led
right, right.
conversation.
Wow, that is deep, 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 some deep stuff. Now, you said that many women are struggling with with a relationship problem, right?
Right.
Um, in fact, you said they're not struggling for a relationship problem, they're struggling with maybe clarity problems, maybe.
Yes.
And so
Choice.
talk to us about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, we have biblical precedent of what type of mate to
Mm-hmm,
choose, but we
mm-hmm,
find that boring. We want the excitement of someone that maybe has one foot in following God and
mm-hmm.
one foot out. Um, so we tend to go with our desire, dating outside of our faith, instead
Wow.
of following biblical principles. Um,
Wow.
we don't have too many people standing firm on that.
Hmm. That is crazy. So you're thinking that we are not making decisions um, in the right way? Am I getting you clearly that we're not making the decision? We don't have clarity on maybe the type of mate we need to choose, or do we have a wrong concept of who our spouse or partner should be?
Well, I believe we have a wrong concept of marriage. We seek companionship to make us happy,
Mm,
to bring us joy, instead of
mhm,
already having that joy and bringing it into the relationship. Because a marriage is going to try you, it's going to
mhm,
test your faith, it's going to test your love, what we call love, because a lot of us, we do not love unconditionally.
Mm.
We do not apply what God has given us to
Mm-hmm.
our mate. It's like, as long as they are doing this, I'm satisfied with them. And as soon as they stop doing this, I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready to leave. We're being encouraged. The Holy Spirit told me to divorce my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Satan is attacking marriage, he's attacking relationships. So I am learning to love unconditionally. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Mm. But okay, so from your own experience and even perspective, right? Because you've been there, you've done that. Um, have you grown to this understanding because of your experience now?
Um, so I am recently navigating a breakup from a 2-year relationship. And this is of a person that I feel has narcissistic tendencies. And I was asked to not judge him on his faults. He
Mm,
made that request, and I asked God to reveal him to me. So God revealed him to me, and I had to make the decision: can I love him for who he is?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I decided yes, no matter what he did, no matter what he said, no matter how he treated me. And I got a lot of pushback from my
mm-hmm,
accountability group. You deserve better. He doesn't love you, this, that, and the third. But my my vow to love him unconditionally would not let me end the relationship.
mm,
What ended the relationship was he told me he couldn't be the man that I wanted him to be, someone who could love me unconditionally.
mm. Wow.
So I allowed the relationship to end, and I told God, keep me from accepting him back.
Mm,
And that's where I am navigating clarity, um, making not saying yes, because we were in premarital counseling up until 2 weeks ago. As I'm navigating before you say yes again, my guide, I am trying to apply these principles with the understanding that I would not have said yes unless we fell into alignment with our morals and values.
wow. So you're not speaking to us from a theoretical perspective because now you're literally going through the process of before I say yes a fifth time,
Uh,
I need to know, hello, I need to know that certain things are in place before I go and expose myself to
yeah,
something.
I
So, in
have
other
to lead
words,
by example.
yeah. And so basically you're saying, hey, listen, before you say yes, they got some things you got to do. But we grew
Right.
up in church, right? And we
Yes.
know that usually before we say yes, the church would say you need to go through counseling, etc., etc. Did you ever take any of those steps before you said yes before? And if you did it influence it, did it impact the relationship, or did you not? Like, can you tell us a little bit about your story in that regard?
Well, if I'm gonna be honest, my first marriage was with my high school sweetheart.
Oh,
We
okay.
grew apart. You know, I love the bad boys, and so I my third marriage is when I had came back into the church, and we did go to premarital counseling. And it was in the premarital counseling that I found out that my intended was actually married already.
Oh, wow.
And that minister told us, you need to get divorced first.
Mm,
That was his advice. Now,
mm-hmm.
I would, in hindsight, I would have rather him say, you guys cannot get married. You need to take
Mm,
a step back, pause, and until he ends
the
that
relationship.
without you being involved.
Okay. So you guys were advised, and I know that folks are having trouble seeing the live. I don't know what is happening with StreamYard. I haven't used it for over a year. And I'm seeing it live on my page. Persons are writing me saying they're not seeing it live on my either of my pages,
Oh wow.
even though I'm seeing it live there. And so that's a technical thing. What's going to happen though is that we're going to download this and make it available on our pages. I know it's there now, and wherever you shared it, or if anybody had
Okay.
uh that event link, they
Okay.
should be able to be seen as live, but apparently they're not. And so we're going to make this available to upload on YouTube channels and stuff like that. But you said something so critical. Before you said yes the third time, you
Yes.
went into premarital counseling, and it's in that session that you found out that the mister was not divorced or was married.
Yes.
And you were counseled for him to, well, you were counseled for him to get that divorce and then that you could get married.
Yes.
Okay. So do you think that that premarital counseling session assisted you guys for marriage? Because you said, like you wish that instead something else had happened, like, he was told to deal with that first and then come. How do you think that that premarital session before you said yes made a difference for you? What did it do for you?
I
Just trying
think
to
it
sort
would
things out.
have saved me a lot of heartache because,
Okay.
as I mentioned before, I was injured by that spouse, and
Oh,
had I not married him, um, maybe the injury would not have happened.
okay.
But because of private matters, I choose
Yes,
not to share the injury. But
that's okay.
it's one that I will live with for the
Mhm.
rest of my life.
Wow. So you think had you taken time to let him deal with his stories, and so it would have given you more time to make a better decision.
Yes,
And so basically we're seeing the importance of what happens before we say yes,
yes,
process that we go through and stuff like that.
oh yes. And I don't think marriage is a safety net.
Talk to us.
Yeah, because had I married him, well, I did marry him and received the injury due to being married to him. Um,
Mhm.
a lot of people are injured that way, that their trust is violated
Mhm.
by omission.
Wow. Talk
All
to
of
us
these.
about that.
Yes. So I will advise anyone, you know who you are contemplating marriage with. Take the steps, take the time, pause, ask the questions.
Okay. So, in other words, we have work to do before we say yes. We cannot just say yes just because our heart feels excited, just because I feel this or I feel that, and so on. We want to be able to do, from what I'm hearing from you, is we want to be able to do some work. And that
Yes,
work means we're not just going with the flow, we're asking questions, we're getting the counseling or whatever it is that you think is important. So that would bring us to kind of into what I want to talk about next, which is about the boundaries. We can talk about the boundaries,
yes,
because many women, when we hear the word boundaries, we don't really know how boundaries protect ourselves. So what have you learned about the connection between boundaries and healthy decision making based on what we just discussed here?
well, what I've learned is having boundaries, if you don't, um, what's the word I'm looking for? If you don't put them in place and stand by them, they
Mm-hmm.
have no effect. A situation I gave the gentleman that I had the breakup with, I gave him a boundary. He
Mm-hmm.
refused to acknowledge it, and I still stayed in the relationship because I was afraid to lose connection. Do not be afraid to let them go if
My
they
God.
cannot respect your boundaries. I beg of you.
Mm,
I beg of you.
that's deep. That's really deep, because so before we say yes, we want to make sure there are proper boundaries, and that if my no is a no, my yes is a yes. You have so many stories around situations in relationships. For example, if somebody sets a boundary that, I do not want to have sexual relations before marriage, um, and then maybe the other partner. So one of the things that I personally think, it's like when you're getting into a relationship, you need to know what your boundaries are when it comes to, issues of sexual nature, and the person needs to know theirs. And if the two of you have really dissimilar moral values, or just like you run your life differently, too
Daddy.
many times as women we want to be able to make it work. And I remember in the past people coming to me, oh, can you speak to my boyfriend or my fiance, because I don't want to have sex with him before we marry, and so on. Listen, if that's your boundary and that's not the person's boundary, then you're in the wrong relationship.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about it, but for me, I think it's always easier to have somebody who respects it from the onset. Like, hey, this is what I don't want. And so if we're going to be in a relationship, then that's what it's going to be about. I do not want to have sex with you before we get married. This is it. And so what do you want? And if that's something that you cannot deal with, then why do we get into a relationship and have to fight over
Right.
something like that? I don't want to convince you to do things my way, and I don't want you to try to convince me to do things your way. It
Yeah.
just means that we don't have the same core values, and that's fine. It
Mhm.
does not make you a bad person, it just makes us different.
Exactly.
And I think those boundaries are important. I'm so grateful that I never had to deal with issues like, people forcing me to want to do these things that I don't want to do, before marriage and so on.
Yes.
But I know of that. That is so common, that people are in relationships, women specifically in relationships where men want that, and because we want the relationship so much, then we end up compromising. Granted, we're talking about our age group now, and the struggle that's real.
Yes.
Now that takes us
More
into
prominent.
a whole other sphere of and depth of conversation, because now there is a woman who probably divorced, maybe
Yes.
once, maybe twice, maybe three times, four times, maybe never married,
Hmm.
but have sexual desires, maybe never married, maybe have a kid, maybe had sex before, now they're trying to do things differently.
Yes.
And then you're in a situation where, man, I really want some of that stuff right now.
What
Usa,
did we say? Stuck between the big G and the big D.
you gotta tell them about that one. Talk to our viewers about that one,
Woo.
because they don't know what you're talking about. You gotta tell them,
Well, the big G, that's God. You stuck
right?
between honoring God and desiring the big D. And we all know what the big D is. And you're stuck in between. You're
Mm,
stuck in between. And some of us are not strong enough to go with God. And we, like myself, fall short and we follow the big D instead.
yeah, the struggle is real, and I think that for women, between what is that age group of the women, by the way, you're targeting? People are still having trouble trying to get us on live, but we're gonna have this convo. They're gonna see the replay. Like what is the age group? Let's, because the age group is important, because to me, like, kids, young people in their teens and early 20s, in my opinion, have no business having sex before, none. That's my opinion. Okay.
Right?
I'm we're talking about now mature individuals who would
Yes.
have been there, done that in life, may have been married before, may have had kids before, may have never have done none of that part, but they have these sexual desires and they're mature. Like what is the age group of the women that you're talking to? Talk to us about it.
I will say between the age of 35 to probably even up to 65, because a lot of women are leaving their marriages. And like myself, my last divorce, I decided to end the marriage due to infidelity.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not even dawn on me how I would deal with my feelings down the road. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I realized how difficult and how much of a struggle I was going to have, I might have stayed in that marriage.
Mm-hmm.
See, the the desire would probably have kept me in the marriage. At
Wow.
some point, I would have been able to forgive,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but now my salvation is at risk,
Mm-hmm.
and he's out there doing whatever he want to do, having all his pleasure, and I am bound by my stronghold.
Mm. So, if I'm hearing you correctly here, you're saying that you, with the knowledge that you have now in terms of this the real struggle, and the fact that you're really wanting to please the big God, the big G,
Hmm.
and there are desires and feelings and so on that comes
That
from,
don't go away because
and
you
they're
do.
not going away. And that's the thing, we need to talk more about that stuff because so many women are going through that. And you know what? One of the things I think that's really weird, because I grew up in church, and I swear, we shouldn't swear, but I am almost sure that when sex was ever mentioned, the few times that it was always in the context of men desiring,
Hmm.
never in the context of women and their
Hmm.
desires and the fact that women actually like sex and want sex. It was
Yeah.
always where they would say, oh, men think about sex every da da da, so many minutes or seconds, whatever. And
Hmm.
I'm almost sure, as I've said to male friends when you know we're speaking about these things, women actually probably want sex more than you.
Probably.
Because when women get together, men talk about sports and all that stuff. Maybe
Hmm.
few of them, maybe the kind of on the caliber of the man, they may talk about these things. But women, generally, when we get together in a safe space and dealing with real women and not fake,
Hmm.
when we're dealing with women who are real about life,
Yes.
when we get together, what do you think we talk about? We
Those
talk about the
like,
big G and we also talk about the D. We
yes.
talk a lot about men and about sex, but it's something that happens in the little closed rooms and not with a lot of even individuals you could actually have that type of relationship with,
I
you
agree.
know? And so I appreciate your realness in that because I believe it's real for too many women.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the themes in your guide is about choosing differently. Okay.
Mhm.
Before you say yes again, we're talking about choosing differently. Women who have been there, done that, but
Right.
desire to choose differently. So, what does choosing differently actually look like in everyday life? What does that look like?
Well, first you have to realize your likes and know what you're attracted to. And you have to ask for a mind renewal if those things, your own thoughts and desires, do not align with God. God created sex. Sex is not the problem, it is the counterfeit to
Mm,
the intimacy that
hmm.
God gave a man and a wife.
Wow.
That varies greatly in what
Hmm.
we call sexual relations
Hmm.
in the modern world.
Yes.
Because honestly, some of the things that I've been asked to do are not godly.
Mm,
Are not God, and we minimalize it by saying, even in the marriage relationship,
mm,
oh, the marriage bed is not defiled,
mm.
but you can defile it.
My goodness.
So we have to ask for that mind renewal.
Hmm.
I can tell you that because of my desires of companionship, I almost entertained doing something that I now know is an abomination to God.
My
But
God.
I entertained the thought.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's how far we can find ourselves away from the will of God,
Mm-hmm.
going after the big D.
My goodness. That sounds like a big distraction to me. A
Yes, that's
big
the word.
distraction to
You need
me.
to replace it. The big D.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So if there are women watching tonight who keeps repeating the same patterns and feel stuck, what do you want her to know?
I want her to know that God can redeem divorce. He can redeem sexual mistakes. He can redeem broken relationships. He
Amen.
can redeem shame, and he can redeem regret.
Amen.
Your past does not define you.
Mm-hmm.
It identifies you, but it
Mm-hmm.
does not define you.
Oh.
Don't ever allow someone to devalue you because
Mm-hmm.
of your past,
Mm-hmm.
because we have a redeemer.
Mm. Girl, that's a whole sermon right there. You need to write a sermon and preach that, okay? Your past identifies you, but it does not define you because we have a redeemer. That's a powerful sermon because you see, the thing is, because we've been taught to, and I understand your perspective when you say, when you were younger, you thought to yourself, I cannot control my feelings. And somebody may want to judge you and say, but how do you mean you cannot control your feelings? To be quite honest, there was a time where I would have zero understanding of what that would mean. Zero. I remember, when I was working on my master's degree, asking that question to a guy that I was dating. My question to him was, do you feel deprived? And he said, yes. And I said to him, well, you don't have a wife, so you shouldn't feel deprived. In my mind, to me, and I said that to him too, the only people who should feel deprived are husbands. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying? But I was really trying to gauge where he was to see if we were aligned in that regard. Because when he came to me and asked to date me, he said, I know that's not your lifestyle, and I want to live a life that's more like you. Right. And so the thing is, it's, I think, a lot about alignment and respect, where somebody can say, hey, this is, and that's where I guess our desires, as you mentioned earlier, our desires can
Mhm.
lead us. And it's all the way, and the Bible says it's, we're drawn. So my own weakness or my own desire for sex and for that kind of sexual connection is what is going to put me in a position for me to actually maybe do it and not consider what I should before I actually say yes, not just to marriage, but to that experience I'm about to have.
Mhm.
And
Well,
that's where,
we go ahead.
no, you could go ahead. It's fine.
Because we think it's a rite of passage. You're in a relationship. Oh, intimacy is just a part of it. No, it was given to a man and a wife.
Mhm.
So if that is your desire, then you should seek, run after a mate, marriage, so that your desires can be met in that marriage relationship. That's
Mhm.
what I believe that Bible text says.
Mhm.
It's better to burn. I mean, it's better to
Married and to
marry
burn.
than to burn.
Yeah.
That means to seek after marriage. That means put everything in place for marriage
Mhm.
before you say yes.
Mhm.
Gather
Right.
things into place. Prepare yourself. You want to be married? Prepare yourself as a woman
Mhm.
for being a wife. So
Mhm.
that when God brings that man to you or bring you to that man, everything is in place.
Yeah, I love it. Some may say it's idealistic, others may say, who are you to speak because you've been there 4 times? But it's obvious that you're trying to live life in accordance with your own belief system, which is you do not want to find yourself engaged in self pleasure before. When I say self pleasure, you know what I mean? Pleasuring with a
That's true.
spouse or person before a marriage. But we want to be able to say to all who listen, we know the struggle is real. We understand that so many Christian women are in that place. So, Montoya, tell everyone about the guide. What can they expect when they download before you say yes again?
Well, like I said before, we're going to go through what I call metanoia, or what the world calls metanoia. That is renewing of your mind, owning your own story. We're going to tell the truth, y'all. We're going to tell the truth. We are not going to shame anyone that voices their truth. We're going to overcome that shame factor.
Mm-hmm.
Grace over guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Grace over guilt.
And to write that there.
Reconnect with God. Because at one point, I thought about sharing with women who don't ascribe to religious beliefs and practices, but
Mm-hmm.
they choose not to give their bodies away for their own purposes. But I believe that um, if you have God at your foundation, it will be an easier road.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna reconnect with God, self, and find healthy boundaries. And then in the end, we're going to embrace the wholeness. We're gonna become a whole person, the
Mm-hmm.
woman God created you to be.
Okay, so that's good stuff. But what do you say to the woman who says, yeah, I am having my relationship with God. I talk to God every day. I do pray and I worship and everything, but I'm still hot. My because our nature and another misconception, I think that'll be so amazing for you as you continue to grow in this area to really help women with their sexual wellness, Christian women who just want to do differently. Um, it's it's the idea that we cannot like spiritualize an actual need because sex is not a sin. Sex is a gift.
Yes.
And so being able to help us shift from thinking, this is sinful. No, it's not sinful. It's
No.
a gift that God gave. The
Yeah.
context with which I use it would help determine a lot of things about my life. But there's nothing wrong with sex. There
I
is an issue in choosing how we express it, but there's nothing wrong in it. And I think that was part of what growing up was like for me. When people speak about sex, almost like it was demonic. It was
Wow.
almost like it was something that and I think we need to do another piece of this. Maybe next week we should have another chat about this, because I think it's important. Because, and I'm saying that because I need to understand why we're supposed to be live and it's live, but it's not being shown. So, which means we may have interruptions by the enemy, but we're going to push forward. But I want us to understand clearly from what your guide is addressing is that Christian women looking on understands that you're not sinful
Right.
because you have sexual desires. Let's get that
Exactly.
straight.
Right.
Okay?
It's innate. It's an innate feeling that if you think about the way God created our bodies, we were created to produce children.
Mhm.
When we ovulate, our hormones go through the roof so that we can desire intimacy, so the egg can be,
Correlated with the
yes,
sperm.
I'm trying to think of the word, so it can be
Implanted?
mated.
Yes.
So you can desire the man so that he can put the sperm inside of you so the egg can be
Fertilized.
of the word
Fertilized.
fertilized. Yes, exactly. So it's in our bodies. That desire is in our bodies. So
Mhm.
it's God given. We just have to develop discernment.
Uh-huh.
Maybe stay away.
Yeah, because I mean that's good because we need the practical tools. Because the truth of the matter is, you're talking about when a woman is in her prime, when she's ovulating and stuff. But women in going into menopause have a lot of sexual
Mm,
desires. Hello,
okay, what I need to learn.
there's no egg implantation going on and all that stuff,
Right,
but there's a
right.
lot of desire going on there.
Okay.
And women who in that state. So even then it's not like, okay, well, after I go through my childbearing years and I'm
Mhm.
no longer having a menstrual cycle, that I'm out of the woods. Hello, no. That's when women probably get deeper into the woods, because your body still have desires. We gotta keep
Mm,
it real.
yeah,
We gotta
probably
keep it real.
so because we've had so many years of that activity that our body craves.
Girl, even though you did not have many years of the activity, it's just our makeup is just like we're
Okay.
exposed. It's not about, oh, I've had so much sexual experience. It's just that the
Mm.
body is just like it's
That's something to explore.
well, you can test me out. I can testify. It's not about having a lot of that stuff. It's about just the fact that our bodies have been created by a maker for a specific reason, and it
Mhm.
continues to evolve into that way, so
Wow.
anyways, let's get into just sharing, because everyone, if you have not yet downloaded the guide, in fact, you have not. Okay, the guide is officially available. If you have not downloaded it yet, this is your opportunity. I am going to drop the link right now. I want you to download the guide and begin the journey of choosing differently. So let me just drop the link for the guide here. You
Wow.
can go catch it at Before You Say Yes Again. Go download that guide, share that guide with your girlfriends, because some of them maybe didn't tell you they're struggling. Some of them didn't tell you that they have these desires because they're afraid you judge them. And we are
Yes.
going through the same thing, but judging each other. And so before you say yes again, you want to download that guide. Now, the other thing is, I want you, after you download the guide, to join Montoya's community. Why do you want to join the community? Because growth happens in communities.
Yes.
Healing happens in communities.
It's human.
Accountability happens in communities. And so you want to download the guide at beforeyousayesagain.com, but you also want to join the Facebook group Before You Say Yes. I can literally show you the link, but the thing is, you want to be able to just go to the community, because you cannot join the link. The link is going to be numbers and letters and all that. So you want to search for Before You Say Yes Again on Facebook, so you can join that community where you can grow, where you can have support, where you don't feel judged, when you're in the presence of other Christian women who understand that maybe you have been there before, but now you desire to do differently. You want to make more responsible decisions or more healthy decisions as it relates to your sexual health. And so, Montoya, in closing, I want to thank you for sharing your heart. Thank you for creating a resource that will help women think differently, choose differently, and move forward with greater clarity. And to everyone who's going to join us, and to those who are going to see the replay, thank you for spending the time with us. Download the guide, join the community, and remember, before you say yes to anyone else, make sure you first say yes to your own healing, to your own growth, and the woman that God is calling you to become.
Yes.
And so, Montoya, any last words for our audience before we get off?
I am Montoya Moore, and I approve this message.
That's all you got to say about that. Thank you so much for joining us, viewers. Good night. Have a good
And join
night.
us on the Facebook group. I look forward to seeing you all there.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.